Negative entities, the kind that come through the medical system. This is a big one, and it's important to understand the medical system is an extension of the systems of domination and control and closely linked to the spiritual warfare that's happening on this planet. And attachments can come through things like taking pills that have not only toxins behind them but negative energy behind them. It can come through interactions with doctors and nurses, other medical professionals, because oftentimes those interactions are set up to disempower you. And if those practitioners cause trauma to you in any way, and if that practitioner has darkness around them and behind them, it can open you up to attachments coming through them. It could come through anything that pierces the skin. So know that when something pierces your skin, it really opens you up. It opens up your energetic field. And if there's darkness behind what is piercing your skin, know that that can get into you really. Attachments can get into you really easily that way. So things like the new medical treatments that were just very popular. That one was quite dark, so it's important to address these things, but also things like surgeries. So I recently had a client that had major surgery and her third eye is really open, and there was negative entities in the hospital that were trying to attack her and hurt her, and we ended up having to clear those for her because they were still affecting her after. Negative entities, sex and the womb space. This one's a big one because there's so much societal and cultural programming around sex and sexuality that distorts what this energy is really about. The first thing to understand is when you have sex with somebody, you're exchanging energies with them. And that can be a good or a bad thing. So it could be negative entities, and it can also be emotional energies that you're exchanging. And the other thing to understand is a woman's womb space is actually has its own soul, and that soul is deeply or directly connected to Divine Mother and Source. And it's because that womb can actually manifest life through it or other creations, manifestations. And so the negative entities love to attach to this because they feed off of light. And they also love to bring the vibration down of the womb space, because if they do that, then it'll affect the vibration of what you're able to birth or create through your womb space. Now, the nature of the sexual act is really important to understand. So if somebody's getting raped or sexually abused, usually that perpetrator is going to have a lot of negative entities. It's going to cause a soul injury to the victim, and it can easily happen, the transfer of negative entities. If you're having sex with somebody without a fully conscious awareness and you're using drugs and alcohol, that can open you up to negative entity attachments, but you can also come into a divine union and use that energy to heal you. Negative entity issues and chronic illness. Yes, these are related. And negative entities can cause all the same symptoms that pathogens do. The difference is that food and supplements will not heal a negative entity issue when it's causing these types of pathogenic symptoms. The reason being is you have to take your healing to the next level. It's important to understand that the same negative ET races that I believe created these pathogens are the same ones that are attaching to people and experimenting on people, which means that it's going to have very similar kind of energetic imprints, very similar types of symptoms between them. The other thing to understand is the medical medium has shared that pathogens tend to activate in people who are here as light workers, and usually that's connected to negative entities activating the pathogens through implants or negative entities themselves. Also, the negative entities can cause the same exact pathogenic symptoms, like I once had burning nerve pain in my body. All the MM practitioners I knew said it was shingles. Well, it turns out it was a negative entity because as soon as we removed the attachment, the pain went away. But negative entities can also cause like real physical things like chronic mouth sores, blisters, twisting bones and joints, pain in your bones and joints. I once had a client had a negative reptilian in her eyes. As soon as we removed it, she started detoxing through her eyes, so it was slowing her ability to detox. So look for these kinds of clues and take your healing to the next level. Right, negative entities and the new medical treatment. Now, this is a really big one, and yes, the new medical treatment does cause negative entity attachments, and these can be really dark and actually gnarly what happens, because you're essentially, when you get that treatment, you are signing a dark contract with negative beings, and it creates an opening to create attachments in your field. And what I'm seeing happening to people is that they actually become receivers and transmitters of really evil energy through their field. And one thing to understand is that even if you haven't had it and your partner has had it, it's affecting you. If both you and your partner have had it, it is magnifying the effects on each other. So for this, it's not only important to physically cleanse and detox, but it's important to clean up the energetic or soul level consequences of this now in this lifetime. You can do this through my angelic soul alignment healing sessions, and the reason being is you do not want this energy to follow you from lifetime to lifetime, affecting your reincarnation cycles. And you also want to not be a transmitter of dark energies right now, because you are affecting not only yourself, your loved ones, your pets, but all your friends around you. So it's important to take responsibility for this decision and clean up the energetic consequences. Negative entities and negative emotions like anxiety, depression, sadness, and more can be connected to negative entities attaching not only to traumas, but they may attach to things like your nervous system or vagus nerve, or your different chakras, different organs, and either magnify an existing physical imbalance or actually create the imbalance themselves. And they can be so merged deep within your being that you won't even be able to tell the difference if it's coming from you or if it's coming from outside of you, because they merge within your body. I'll give you a great example. I had a client who came to me that was working with medical medium protocols with me to heal, and she had an anxiety issue that was cyclical throughout her life, like a pattern. I suggested we do energy healing for her on this issue, and as I was clearing the layers of blockages contributing to this, I found a very big negative entity that was coming through the ancestral lineage. So it was attaching to several generations, all the way to 8 generations back. And we removed and healed that negative entity. And as soon as we did, the anxiety was gone and it remained gone, and that pattern never surfaced again. So it's important for you, if you have a pattern that keeps coming up that's not healing with medical medium protocols, look deeper. Negative entities and mental illness or mental disturbances like negative thoughts or dark thoughts or more. So first of all, I want to acknowledge the role that toxic heavy metals can play in this, and it's important to heal that and address that, because negative entities can take advantage of toxic heavy metals in your brain or in your body and use it as a form of mind control. And the other thing is to also heal your traumas, because negative entities can also use your traumas or soul fractures to do these kinds of things. So what it can look like is either thoughts or kind of mental projections. It could be like visualizations you're hearing or things that you're hearing. It can be negative thoughts, dark thoughts, violent thoughts, suicidal ideations. It can also move to the level of kind of a soul possession, where it can be momentary, or it can be at the level where the negative entity actually owns your soul and is controlling you and telling you what you can and can't do. So, and if you've ever had like a trigger, like a recurring trigger throughout your life, where it's almost like you lose consciousness, where you feel like you step out and you either go into this victim or abusive mode to self or others, and you lose control, that sometimes points to a negative entity issue, especially if it's not physical rooted. Negative entities and mental illnesses like autism, ADD, ADHD, bipolar disorders, schizophrenia. Now, medical medium says that these are caused by toxic heavy metals in the brain. But if you've been healing with medical medium protocols for a while and not seeing the results that you hope, either in yourself or your children, it is important to look at the energetic factors at play, including negative entity attachments. I'm going to explain why. So first of all, these cause a massive physical injury to the body, especially the brain. That means it causes also a massive soul injury. When we have a big soul injury like this, it opens us up to negative entities. Negative entities particularly like to attach to areas where we have toxic heavy metals at play. So when you're healing from these types of illnesses, it is also important to heal the soul injury. For example, I have a lot of mental illness in my father's lineage. I know a lot of Mercury was at play, and it caused a lot of insanity in his lineage. I've had to actually alchemize the energy of insanity that was stuck actually in my brain connected to this ancestral lineage. They also had a massive negative entity issue or do in that lineage. So it's important to go deeper because negative entities don't necessarily leave just because you're doing cleansing protocols. Angelic Soul Alignment Healing Sessions can assist you with this. Negative Entity Series continued. Can I have more than one negative entity attachment? So the answer is yes, and most people do. So entities are as common as strep. And most people have more than one negative entity attachment. A medical medium recently shared in a live, somebody told me, I did not see this, that he said somebody could have 40 attachments. Well, the truth is somebody could have hundreds or thousands of attachments, depending on if they have a negative entity issue. When I do an angelic soul alignment healing sessions on my clients, they could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negative entity attachments. Or I've had a session recently where somebody had hundreds and that person has a negative entity issue. And I told her that in that session, I wasn't even able to clear all of her negative entity attachments because the way the energy body works is that it's layered and it's multidimensional. And you can sometimes appear as not having any negative entity attachments when somebody does a healing on you that knows how to see negative entities, but you might do some inner work, raise your vibration, and all of a sudden there's a whole new layer of negative entities ready to be seen and cleared in an energy healing session. I also do recommend doing regular shadow work sessions so you can raise your vibration, identify these negative entities yourself, and heal them and clear them. Can negative entities affect our reincarnations? Yes. So first of all, it's important to understand you can have negative entities in this life that are coming from your past lives, also your ancestral lineage. The second thing to understand is that these negative entities in general work with the systems that are evil, that has created all these things that the medical medium talks about that are affecting our physical body. Well, it's also affecting our energetic body. And if you had a past lifetime where these evil systems, like for example, they created a war, or they created a generational trauma through a really dark, evil, negative entity, that trauma has landed in your field in that lifetime, and if it doesn't get resolved, it's going to keep following you from lifetime to lifetime until it gets resolved. So that means that trauma or that negative entity has affected your reincarnation cycles. And so this is what the evil systems try to do, is then they start being able to control your reincarnation cycles, because now they have all these negative entities, negative energies attached to you, and all these traumas behind them that are messing with your reincarnation cycles. So this lifetime, if you're healing, is an opportunity to heal all this, not only for this lifetime and all your past lifetimes that you've brought to heal in this lifetime, and also your ancestral lineage. It's important work to do, in my opinion. Is doing medical medium protocols enough to heal negative entity attachments? The answer is yes and no. It depends on your situation. By medical medium protocols, I mean doing the foods and supplements he recommends to cleanse your body, and also integrating the soul healing meditations he has. So in that sense, some negative entities will get released because you are raising your vibration and healing soul injuries through those. But some negative entities will need more work. For example, sometimes raising your vibration makes the negative entities actually get more aggressive because they depend on you having a lower vibration to feed off of you, and they might not want to go. And that means usually you need to do more work. So usually going to an energy healer that understands how to work with negative entities, or inner work or shadow work where you can heal the soul injuries that the negative entities are attached to, and then remove the actual attachments. So in that sense, you will be required to go deeper. In my perspective, it's important to do all three: medical medium protocols, energy healing with somebody that knows how to deal with negative entities, and also inner work or shadow work, because that will be ultimately where you will heal the most, because you will learn how to identify and remove the attachments yourself.